Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, a free way to support the channel is by leaving a thumbs up, by leaving a comment, by leaving 2 comments, by leaving as many comments as you so feel today, or subscribing if you have not already done so, because it does indeed help out with the algorithm. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. There's always a lot of news in the cryptocurrency space. As of right now, at least at the time of me making this video, there's a lot of discussions, a lot of talk, a lot of hype about where Bitcoin's price is going to go. For those of you who missed yesterday's video, we had a bit of a slight discussion, if you will. What was it? New York DIG, the New York Digital Investment Group, I think that's what it stands for, announced yesterday that next week there's apparently a whole slew, an avalanche of good news coming from major corporations who are getting into the Bitcoin space. I assume some investing was done through them, and therefore this is how they have this knowledge. But the entire idea is that we're also going to see that number in this video as well, is as we get more people investing into the cryptocurrency space, the higher the price goes. And if we get news sometime next week, so saith New York DIG, that major, intensely large companies are going to be getting into the cryptocurrency space, and therefore, logically, Bitcoin's price would also rise. Bitcoin price chart signals a weekend breakout. Institutional interest for crypto in Asia is heating up. And this one says Bitcoin price could be heading much higher while Ethereum maintains its pace. What have you. I think we're not going to see any real movement in Ethereum. I give it about another 8, 9, 10 days. This is not an endorsement or an advertisement, but sometimes people do ask which podcast that I listen to. And there's one I was listening to like a couple minutes ago, even in the night before, by a guy named Tim Ferriss, Timferris. Once again, not an endorsement. I'm also not being paid by this guy. I don't know him. But he had a conversation with Vitalik and a couple of other people who were on the panel during like a 2-hour podcast. It's really good to listen to. Basically discussing, remember we were talking about a couple of days ago that Vitalik said within the next couple of weeks, we are going to see this upgrade for Ethereum. And I was like, he didn't say month or months. So therefore it has to be weeks. And he repeated that as well in the podcast, where basically a number of, I think, roll-ups is the next upgrade that's coming. And that's going to allow Ethereum to, I think, have like a couple hundred equivalent of transactions per second. And he says as time goes on and more people get into that network and it becomes more robust, we're going to have 1,000 transactions per second Ethereum. So this could also be why we were seeing and have been seeing the last couple of weeks a lot of accumulation talk by big companies who are also buying millions of dollars worth of Ether. And I guess the Bitcoin price news basically being that, first of all, once again, Bitcoin's price should not be as low as it currently is. It's not like we're not getting every single day some new news that another company or corporation or bank is getting into the cryptocurrency space. But I think we have to get rid of that triangle pennant equation. I almost said birthmark. Makes no sense to be able to move high. Birthmark. Anyway, that's all the price news, as it were. We're like up, but not up. We're like sideways up. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's move on. When I say this news was popular, and as well it should be, just completely and utterly down the line. Now that the crypto market is worth $1.8 trillion, Deutsche Bank stated that Bitcoin is too big to ignore. Wow, that's crazy. Didn't see that one coming. The report outlines the challenges of Bitcoin becoming a medium of exchange, or an asset class, which it already is. It notes that the inherent volatility of the crypto market will continue to rise and fall. That's great logic. Depending on investor sentiment, the bank stated that crypto assets are now too big to ignore. The inflow of traders and institutional demand is growing every day, and banks and governments are aware of that, as one should assume. They said central banks and governments understand that cryptocurrencies are here to stay, so they are expected to start regulating crypto assets late this year or early next year. And I think we've already seen the first couple of waves of that for many different countries. And it normally falls down to, if you're using a cryptocurrency, if you're using a cryptocurrency exchange, you have to do the AML, know your customer things on their platform. And what's the other one? Taxes. This is why we saw, like, what was it, like 8 countries the last, like, 2 months being like, hey, taxes, 20% over here. This is how much you got to pay. And the other news that we got, what was it? I don't remember. There was some country yesterday that we got who was also talking about they're scolding people for not paying their taxes and all this other stuff. Likewise, banks are speeding up their research to issue central bank digital currencies. Please, by all means, do so. Like, I can't wait for them to arrive. With the hyperinflation of fiat currency, more banks are considering adopting crypto. It's not that they're considering, it's that they are. I can almost assure you at this point that central banks are actively having discussions behind the scenes as to how much Bitcoin that they're going to start having on their sheets, but they also don't have to tell us exactly how much they have explicitly, and, subsidiaries and shells and all this other kind of stuff. And once again, for those of you who are worried about central bank digital currencies, they are going to be digital versions of the same trash that we have right now. They're not going to be anything new. There won't be any new economic policies. They're going to be printing probably even a lot more than we already print right now. So there's no real worry about central bank digital currencies versus Bitcoin, because it's going to be a digitized fiat. And fiat is garbage. Exactly. The report states that at least 80% of the world's 66 central banks are exploring crypto assets. The report states that 80% of the world's 66 central banks are exploring crypto assets. Moreover, 20% of them are likely to issue digital currencies in the next 6 years. Please, I'm just go for it at this point. Like, we know that you're all doing it. We've had news for how many years that they were like, oh, we're not gonna, what? Central bank, we're not gonna, no, that's not gonna happen. And next week we got news that they were like, yeah, we've been working internally on trying to, of course you have. You're all desperately trying to make these little bundles of garbage to try and get people to use them. So the news basically is, everyone, first of all, I tried to load the PDF. I don't know if you can see this. It's nothing. I tried loading it multiple times and all the screen says is PDF is loading. Doesn't really help us. But allegedly, or apparently, this is quite big news out there. Bitcoin is too important to ignore. We knew that already. Like, this isn't brand new news. This isn't something that is like, oh my gosh, like, when did that happen? Bitcoin is too big to ignore. No, we knew that for a while now. Everyone watching this channel should have already known that, as I've been flailing and screaming and having these emotional swings in so many different videos, trying to explain to you exactly how large that this is. Even from the time 2 years ago, I was like, I'm pretty sure countries are buying Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure central banks, and everyone was like, no, Bitcoin's too decentralized for that. No, they know exactly where this is going. Do you think the news that we got from Citibank and JP Morgan Chase just happened to hit this channel? Or do you think that when that news went to all their institutional clients, that it may have also, hit the desk of major banks around the world? They're like, hey, JP, we saw your letter and it looks kind of crazy. Can you explain that to us? Sure, I'll explain it to you. Bitcoin's going to 600,000. Okay, cool. We got to buy some as well. Anyway, all over the news, if you will, as a lot of people are shocked by this news, and you should not be. I still always wonder, and I think I will until Bitcoin hits $1 million. I wonder why, when we get news like this, we don't actually see price pumps. Like, and I mean like a really big wave of people being like, oh, I got to start buying some right now, as opposed to being like, I'll wait until the next Tesla ends up buying in. Because the moment that we hear that the next Tesla or Apple or Amazon or gets into the space, the price will pump, and then these people who were waiting for a while to get into the market, that's when they end up getting it. And I don't think I understand the mentality of waiting for rich people to tell us that something is great for us to know that it's great. Anyway, so one of the largest banks in the world has said that Bitcoin is too big to ignore. And we have indications that central banks are also getting into crypto assets. So in 10 years, once again, just know that you knew that all this was happening, so nobody claims ignorance or simply said, I did not know. What a shock it is. Anyway, that's the Deutsche Bank news. And let's move on. Next up, large fiat investments in Bitcoin have been observed to have a positive impact on price. Wow. According to a Bank of America strategist, a net inflow of $93 million would result in a 1% price increment in Bitcoin. That is nothing. 93 million makes Bitcoin go up by 1%. This means that Bitcoin is more responsive to fiat purchases in large quantities compared to gold, which would need around $2 billion to move by a similar percentage. The full statement by the Bank of America strategist can be found courtesy of Bloomberg. It says Bitcoin is extremely sensitive to increased dollar demand. We estimate a net inflow into Bitcoin of just $93 million would result in price appreciation of 1%, while the similar figure for gold would be close to 20 times higher, $2 billion. In contrast, the same analysis for the 20-year plus treasury show that multi-billion-dollar money inflows do not have a significant impact on price, pointing to the much larger and stable nature of U.S. treasury markets. Also quite big news, I guess, that we have a number amount of exactly how much money needs to flow into Bitcoin in order for the price to actually end up going up. I mean, 93 million is a lot of money. I'm not like, oh, that's nothing. That's not a lot of money. But it puts into perspective. It puts into view the idea that if we are getting daily news that so-and-so put 50 million in, 100 million in, 350 million into the market, that we should be seeing much higher prices. I still think the price is being held down simply because of people trying to accumulate more and spoofing and washing and bathing and whatever other words there are for that. So that's very interesting because I have a feeling, just logically, we're going to continue seeing that amount of inflow into Bitcoin for the foreseeable future. So I wonder how much higher these numbers are going to take us. Is this the same thing? Yep, same exact thing. Here's the actual article from Bloomberg. It says, have $93 million? You may be able to boost Bitcoin's price by 1%. Wonderful. Let's move on. Next up, also in the news, and I'm not really sure why this is news, the General Service Administration, a part of the U.S. government, has successfully auctioned off 0.75 Bitcoin. Not even a full Bitcoin. Although the portion of sold Bitcoin is not impressive, what's intriguing about this purchase is that the buyer paid a substantial 21% premium due to the high number of bidders. The GSA is a government agency that typically auctions surplus vehicles or office supplies. However, it has decided to expand its portfolio by enabling citizens to bid on Bitcoin, as reported by the Washington Post. The two-day auction of 0.75 Bitcoin began on Monday, and who takes 2 days to bid on, and ended on Wednesday. Upon the closure of the event, what? Why did they just go to Coinbase? They could have got spot. They paid $53,000. Oh, okay, yeah. I think I know. Okay, yeah. I think I got it. They're probably doing that because it has the UTXO from the government, if you will. For those of you who don't know, there are really rich people who want to buy clean coins, if you will, as Bitcoin's transactions can actually be traced quite easily depending on how much information you give away on the internet. They found that there's a bit of a price premium, I guess we're looking at it right here, if you can show that the coins that you have purchased have never been involved in an illicit activity, if you will, because a lot of cryptocurrency exchanges have been mandated by their governments. You can look back through the transactions. If at some point there was a transaction that took place in X country where A country doesn't like X country and they found that something illicit was taking place and Bitcoin was traded within these transactions, and that, you know, you have, you know, that long signature that you see when you are sending transactions back and forth. Basically, you can say, hey, we saw that 7 transactions ago, this Bitcoin was actually used for something illicit and therefore it's bad, or whatever governments decide to say to themselves. So I guess if that you can prove explicitly that these were held by the U.S. government and therefore they are clean, then therefore you have clean coins. But that's a huge amount of money to pay extra. So for those of you who don't know, the U.S. government does also have Bitcoin. Surprise! A lot of people are shocked about that. Many years ago, there were, and still are, there were a number of websites where people sold and purchased things that are considered illicit. You know what I'm talking about. And a lot of these websites were closed down. They figured out that the websites actually held Bitcoin. They took the Bitcoin, and all that stuff is in possession of the U.S. government. This is why the U.S. government actually holds Bitcoin. They were having auctions for them before, and I think Tim Draper, I think they had two mega auctions. Two auctions, and I think Tim Draper purchased both the Bitcoin, I think it was Draper, from both of these auctions, but that was like 2012 and 2014, so we can only assume that they're still holding on to all that Bitcoin. I guess the news being the 21% premium, is it worth it? I don't really know. I guess that's a big, I don't even like Coinbase, but I'd rather just go to a Coinbase to pay spot. Anyway, that's the U.S. government sold Bitcoin news. And let's move on. There we go. Next up, it's not just a multinational making a multi-billion-dollar Bitcoin buys. That was a weird sentence. Smaller firms are also setting their sights on the cryptocurrency as a store of value. Canadian property company Thornton Place Condominium Corp, fancy, has joined the growing number of businesses adding Bitcoin to their portfolio. The firm has purchased roughly half a Bitcoin for their reserve fund. That's actually, it puts them in the 1%. Additionally, according to a recent announcement, Thornton Place has allocated a further 700 Canadian or 563 American for future monthly investments in Bitcoin. Also smart. This gets them 1 million Satoshis per month. Smart. On an indefinite basis. Jeez Louise. And I don't know these people. I assume that 700 is going to be boosted up to about a good 3,000 in a couple of months when they're like, oh, we can get more. They said our board determined that a small investment of approximately 5% of the overall reserve fund and 6% of the monthly operating fund contributions into Bitcoin will permit Thornton Place to gain a limited exposure to a high-performing asset class without jeopardizing any of the long-term goals of the corporation and its owners. Wonderful. So the news is it's not just the bigwigs who are getting into it. It's also the condominium companies, which is also kind of a bigwig, but they maybe don't consider themselves a bigwig, but they're probably still rich. The point is, everyone's buying up some Bitcoin. I think it says they purchased, I think it was worth $20,000. Yeah, $20,000 US. In cash when they actually purchased it. So good for them. Wonderful. Once again, they're not the only company doing this. This is simply the first company who has come out in the open as, hey, look at what we're buying. Here's the actual press release for it. It says Regina based. I know it's not pronounced Regina. I know. I just don't like saying that word because it sounds difficult to me. Thornton Place Condominium Corporation invests in Bitcoin. Fantasticals. And let's move on. Next up in what? That's crazy. They can't do that news. Amid the burgeoning cryptocurrency market, the government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, a province in Pakistan, is looking to pilot cryptocurrency mining farms. Besides mining digital currencies, the Pakistan province wants to formulate a policy to regulate cryptocurrencies. Smart. A committee has already been set up to oversee the crypto policy, according to the report on Thursday by Reuters. Khyber's a really cool name for any place. Imagine, where are you from? Khyber. The Khyber government is reportedly planning to pilot 2 cryptocurrency farms that will be powered by hydroelectricity. The first meeting of the KP Crypto Advisory Committee was held on Wednesday. However, the Pakistan province is yet to finalize the cost of the digital currency mining project. The advisor, they're going to be rich. Oh my gosh. The advisor to the Provincial Government of Science and Technology, Zia Ullah Bangash, said on Twitter, the KP government making money. I don't have to read all that. It's not relevant. There's a photo of them. Here's a tweet for it of them actually doing what I just said they were going to be doing. Fantastic. Here's the Reuters news of the actual, press release, if you will, of the actual event taking place. Cool. We know for a fact that governments are mining Bitcoin. They are not the first one, and they will not be the last. Assumption that, someone within the U.S. government somewhere has their toe in a cryptocurrency mining farm somewhere, either within the States or somewhere else. Some money's flowing around there because he who holds the most Bitcoin is the richest. So if Deutsche Bank is saying that it's here to stay. And we know that, we're getting these crazy price predictions. I assume governments around the world are trying to mine and or buy as much as possible. Anyway, that's the Pakistan news because it happens every single day because that's how the cryptocurrency market works. Don't know why I'm singing. Let's move on. Why did I sing that? That was kind of weird. All right. While multiple companies sharing how many millions of new crypto users they got recently, that is not a sentence. One popular crypto analyst made an estimation how many new Bitcoin traders cryptocurrency exchanges might be getting per day. Willy Woo shared that based on the data provided by on-chain analytics firm Glassnode and the Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance. These fancy names, my goodness. The number of Bitcoin users seen on the blockchain per day has been rising, as shown by the pink line on the chart. Oh, there's the pink line. Wow. You can see it's going up. That means the number of users are rising. That's crazy. They said, or Wu said, 35,000 new users per day arriving on chain, which means exchanges are likely adopting an additional 100,000 users per day right now. In comparison, as reported, multi-asset social trading platform eToro, I just can't read today, can't read any day, said yesterday that it added over 5 million new users in 2020, another 1.2 million in January alone, reaching 20 million, 20 million users in general. Crypto Hong Kong-based firm traded lending started in February that it had 10 million users, up from 5 million. Wow. And Jack Dorsey's Square Cash App, over 3 million customers traded Bitcoin on the platform last year, while this year in January saw more than 1 million customers purchase Bitcoin for the first time. So I guess it does make sense. I think the really staggering news is actually the 100,000 per day. Like, that's an enormous amount of people to be getting into any market, any kind of day. It's fascinating. I'm very happy. I hope that this continues. I hope that we continue to not only see adoption, but I want adoption from normal people. I'm not fatigued with, but it's a little annoying that the news that we always get is like, this rich person bought more. This rich person has more than the last two rich people combined. And I want normal people to get that million Satoshi so that they can also have a slice of the pie in some sort of way, because if banks, governments, pension funds, and the 19 other things are buying all the Bitcoin, I don't want a world in the future where normal people have none of it. Because mathematically, there's still a way for at least 1 billion people to have a good, smidge of it. But anyway, that's the new user number. Is actually, that's a huge amount. 100,000? That's a huge, anyway. All right. Enough of my rambling. Here's the actual tweet for it right here from Willy Woo. It says, pink line, the number of new users seen on the blockchain per day. Good AC. And let's move on. I guess also next up, the popular mobile payment company of Cash App has just announced that sending and receiving Bitcoin on the app will no longer incur transaction fees. This means that users of the popular app can transact in Bitcoin with other users for free. To celebrate the zero-fee launch of Bitcoin transactions, the team at Cash App also announced a Bitcoin giveaway worth $1 million in Bitcoin. A little fishy. A little too many good things at once. The team at Cash App made the announcement of free internal Bitcoin transactions and a $1 million giveaway via the following tweet. That, I'm not going to reread it, what I just said. In response to Cash App announcing feeless Bitcoin transactions within the app, the team at Documenting BTC pointed out that sending Bitcoin will now be as simple as sending fiat on the app. Wonderful. So if you're using Cash App, it's now free to send Bitcoin back and forth. Does Cash App have, I don't use Cash App, does Cash App have like a texting feature? Like, can you message within the app? That'd be quite fascinating if there was an app where it was kind of like a social media kind of thing where you could post or send messages back and forth between your friends and also like transact in currency. That'd be kind of crazy. I as it's called Cash App and not Text App, I assume it's the other one. Anyway, cool. So if you're using that, now you can send Bitcoin for free. And apparently there's like $1 million Bitcoin giveaway. So I guess look into that if you want some free Bitcoin. And I hope it goes to like 10 people. You know what really annoys me? There was, what was it? For those of you who don't know, I keep seeing this in the news, but it is what it is. Like a couple of years ago, there was a lottery in the States, and I know I got it. There was a lottery in the States, and I think the prize was like $800 million or something like that. And I was like, wow, how cool that would be. Imagine if 800 people each won $1 million, or if 1,600 people each got $500,000 is life-changing money. But only one person won it, and it kind of annoys me. Maybe it's just me. I'm not really sure. I don't really think, no, okay, whatever. Anyway, the point is, I know not everyone's going to agree with that, but imagine if I had a chance to give one person $800 million as opposed to 1,600 people watching, 1,600 people to each have $500,000. That changes their lives forever and the lives of their families. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now. That's the Cash App news. Let's move on. And to finish things off, sure, we'll get there eventually. The US SEC has put the Van Eck Bitcoin ETF proposal for discussion. The SEC has put Van Eck's exchange-traded fund proposal for discussion. The institution now has 45 days to approve, deny, or extend the review process to at least 240 days. Here we go again. So we are at the point right now where I think 5 or 6 companies have submitted their paperwork to the Securities and Exchange Commission within the United States to have a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. We've had multiple in Canada. We've had a couple around the world. I think there's also some other ETF news. The point is, the rumors have been that allegedly sometime this year, maybe we might get one within the United States. No one really cares, SEC, so just kind of let one through. But what happened before, especially in 2018 and 2019, when people were putting these proposals forward, is that the SEC had 45 days to say yay or nay. And it was always a nay. But on the last day before they said the nay, they were like, well, let's extend it. And they actually did this, the additional 240-day thing, which was nonsense. Because at the end of it, they were like, no, gotcha, no, sorry, not going to happen. But there were like 12 proposals that were put forward, and I was like, no one, just do it. Like, what's the... Anyway, I think it's just regulatory power struggle. Muscular power, them flexing their muscles, muscular power, because it's not really a thing anymore. Like, yes, when we get the Bitcoin ETF, others will also put forth their ETFs and get them, and they'll be accumulating more Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin's price will rise. But do you think you're fancy because you're stopping Bitcoin's price from rising, or do you think that we will kneel down to the SEC and kiss their toes and go, oh, thank you for the ETF that other countries have already put forth, but yours is the mightier one? No one really cares. Like, in a couple of years, we're going to have 35 Bitcoin ETFs anyway within the States, and the people are going to be like, okay, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I think I live in a more futuristic and or realistic mindset. Like, if you're going to regulate it. Just say, hey, this is exactly what we require. Bam, you did it. It's in the paperwork. All right, it goes through. For the first year, we will extra scrutinize this just to make sure that everything is completely tip-top shape. And at the end of it, every month, you then give us a recording or record of things that you are doing, if they're so concerned with it. Like, it's like a... No one actually cares, SEC. Like, what do you think you're doing? Anyway, that's the SEC news. I don't think Van Eck is going to get it. What was the other one? Was it? No. There was another major company who just put one forth. Like a very well-known company. Oh, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I think they're going to get it. Not Van Eck, not the CBOE, but there's like I can't remember the name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. One of them's going to go through and everyone's going to lose their minds. Be like, finally, we got one. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Anyway, methinks that's going to do it for this video. At the moment, Bitcoin is at 58,796. It is sideways up by 0.91%. Ethereum's up by 1.7%. Binance coin is Binance coining. I just don't really get it explicitly. 1.68%. ADA is up by 1.8%. Polkadot is up by 8.39%. XRP is up by 2.5%. Chainlink is up by 3%. And Uniswap is up down by 9%. Aave is up by 3%. Tron is up by 18%. Bless their hearts. EOS is up by 3%. IOTA's okay. This seems to be like, you know, coin pump day. IOTA's up by 9% on $99 million volume. Okay, yeah. The nonsense is beginning. I think we're potentially maybe seeing the precursor to the alleged next week pump. BitTorrent token is up by 90%. You know, the one that's being adopted by governments and banks and is being mined by Pakistan. That's the one that's up by 90%. Tezos is up by 2.4%. Huobi token's up by nothing. Synthetics is up by 11%. Oh gosh, Bridge Oracle's up by 10 I'm not gonna even read these crappy coins anymore. The point is the market's in green. Some coins are in red, like Chili's, but why is Chili's there anyway? I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.